think here we are. Yeah. Okay, let me see if I can change. Was that better? Did I see it? Seems a bit. Okay, I'm gonna have to. Pump these up a little bit. So they're visible. I'm using OpenOffice Writer right now. So what is this stream? Well, I've been thinking of a couple of hacks for 5th edition D&D, if you're familiar with the game, if you're a fan or not. As I've also been reading the book. Sorry, I blanked out on it. Adventures, Conquerors, and Kings. One of the designers is Chris Pramas, who went on to design for Green Ronin and written a lot of good stuff that I like. It's a sort of a old school rewrite of the original Dungeons and Dragons with some elements from 3rd edition and as well as Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And that got me thinking that maybe I could adopt some of these ideas here as well. So we're going to do 2 simple hacks today. Let me also pump up this as well. So they're all relative. We're going to do an XP hack, which is basically assigning a different type of how to deal with the way of you give XP for non-combat situations, right? The Dungeon Master Guide in the 5th edition talk about milestones, and you have to calculate them with the word combat, etc. We're going to do something different there, and also going to do a epithet. Let me just write it. Epithet. Oh, that's misspelled. Epithet based inspiration hack, in which the players, as they go along, they playing the game, depending on what they do, they do actions and earn them an epithet, a grand name. They get inspiration for that, right? And every time they can actually summon that name, saying, "Okay, I'm known for doing this or done that. I should get inspiration." So it should be more than just, "Oh, I do great role playing," right? So these are the 2 hacks we're going to be discussing today. I apologize if it seems a bit choppy. Let me see if I can move the camera here so I'm not in the way. I'm not in the way. It's been a while since I streamed, so I'm just catching up again. And one thing is, I noticed that Twitch changed the things how they've been doing things, so that has been a blessing in disguise, so to speak. The speeds are faster. I can stream much better. So you're joining us from Tumblr, from Twitter, from Twitch. Welcome. So this is going to be a short stream, just so you know, chat. So let's start with the XP hack, shall we? Let's do the XP hack first, if I'm allowed. What is the XP hack? Well, I was working a couple of during this year on another game, sort of my version of a fantasy game called Fast, which is the fantasy action system. And one of the ideas I got into, and this was again from another hack to an early edition of Dungeons and Dragons, was instead of giving XP points, like say, I don't know, 300 points, something like that, for killing a monster or whatever, I wanted to make a mission-based, goal-orientated XP system. Now, if you are coming from the Math Squad and this sounds familiar, and yes, Adam Coble, designer of Dungeon World, is working on a similar hack for roleplay, for his Dungeons and Dragons roleplay game. Although mine is a bit different. Mine is simpler and doesn't really rewrite the entire system yet. It's not a matter of giving non-combat based awards, right? On top of the murder hoboing that you do in regular Dungeons and Dragons. The system was based on the idea that, and in Fast, that you would not get experience from killing a monster unless that was your mission, right? Instead, you would get experience for doing one of three things, achieving one of the three levels of goals. Let's put it in 32 here, and 1. Major achievement. Or goal. That is basically a adventure level, if not campaign level, achievement. So let's say that the entire adventure you're running, not a specific session, but the entire adventure is all about defeating the leader of the necromantic cult, right? Well, beyond the fact that you just kill the guy or gal, whoever happens to be, and you get XP because of his level and his ability and his rating, if this is something that has a much wider impact on the world, then it should be marked with extra XP, I think, right? It's such a significant event that it should be noted. Then, of course, you have your secondary goals or missions, and then you have your bonus missions or goals. Secondary. So let's say major achievement, end of adventure stuff. It shows the impact of the PC's actions beyond killing of an enemy. This is something, the one thing that the players are striving for in a series of sessions. It could happen in one session, of course, but if it happens in more than one session, that's fine, right? I'll give the numbers in a moment. Secondary goal, session level goal could be achieved in one. Could be achieved in a single or multiple sessions. Usually, it is one of several goals that build up to the main goal in the adventure or campaign, right? This basically says secondary. Let's call it session level. Let's call it major achievement goal, major achievement, adventure level achievement, adventure level goal. and that's secondary or session level goals, and bonus goals or in session game session goals. These are, as I'm spelling them, the kind of goals that the PCs discover through due diligence. I don't know, they took the time to study some documents. We're going to take the documents and hand them to NPC. They took the time immediately or after to study some documents or a magic device or search of a body and found clues or question more people, etc. This is the kind of thing that it's sort of like, okay, you go to the dungeon and, oh, by the way, you found a prisoner, right? And that prisoner, that's not part of your session goals or your venture goals to liberate people. It's not part of that, but it happens, that person happens to be there and you liberate them, right? And that's an example. It could be other examples as well. I'm sure that chat can come up with examples as they see fit. Through due diligence, extra work, etc. Diligence. Now, the key thing is that these are the goals, right? These are the things that you're aiming for. Now, how are they calculated? Well, again, bullet points. Adventure. The way I used to do it in Fast was I thought, hey, XP awards, if you think about them, are kind of arbitrary. Oh, come on. XP awards are arbitrary. Anyway, they're arbitrary. So it doesn't even really matter. I mean, it's all relevant. You get more points down the line. You need to have more points to get to level up, only to sort of slow down your at least in past editions, like the first edition, second edition, Advanced and Dragons, to slow you down so you don't level up too quickly. But after third edition, that's really not the point. The point is more like the numbers get bigger and bigger, not only to give a bigger sense of achievement, but also because the monsters that you're confronting should be tougher and they should be worth more. And to discourage players to go, DMs, for example, oh, you're fighting kobolds at level 1. You're fighting kobolds at level 5. You're fighting kobolds at level 15, right? If you get the exact same amount of XP, then you can still be fighting kobolds, no problem. So to discourage that, we have this situation. And I thought I changed the camera for some reason. Okay. There we are. Sorry. Thought I fixed that. So how are they calculated? That should be a question mark. Or calculating. Because of that, I said, okay, I'm not going to, in the fast, I was not going to put a number, say, 10 XP or 100 XP or whatever, or 1595 XP or whatever, minutia. I was going to do it by percentages. As the players, did what they were assigned to do and reach these goals, they would get a particular percentage. So, for example, going from the lowest to the highest, bullet point time. Bonus goals, 5 to 10% of experience to reach next level. Secondary session goals. 10 to 15%. And adventure level goals, adventure goals, 15 to 25. I have to put the percentage, 25%. Take, for example, I'm going to read from the Player's Handbook the following. First chapter, creating characters. Chapter 1, step-by-step characters. And includes the XP goals. So let's say it takes, according to the character advancement table in page 15 of the 5th edition Player's Handbook, at level 1 you start with 0 experience. At level 2 you get 300 XP to get to level 2. So that means that if I were to award a 5% bonus goal, XP bonus, that would be 10% is 30, so it'll be 15 XP. And so on and so forth. Right? You just take that percentage and give it to the players. It's very straightforward. You don't have to calculate EL or CR or any of that, right? Remember, these things are not combat based. It doesn't really matter, if that is not that important. What you want to do is give them that extra thing, right? Also, important note. Do not divvy up. Do not split the award between the players. Why? This is something that gets tacked on after you do the XP run, right? It's like, okay, they killed X amount of giant rats and the kobolds, and they did this and that, but this is separate. This is something you already wrote in your notes. As if they do this, they're going to get this percentage, right? You don't have to go to the DMG and say, okay, that has a DMG, or the monster manual say, okay, the giant tarantula was a giant spider, it was like 250 XP, and there are 4 players. No, this gets tacked on top. That's why adventure goals, why these numbers are relatively low, right? Let's say that the players play the first adventure, and you're making a short one, so it's both an adventure and a set all in one session. So it has at least one adventure goal, one session goal, and at least one bonus goal. You're keeping things simple. So what you do is you add them up. Like 5, you're going to go simple. 5, 10, 15. So that's 30%. You look at how much XP they need, all the players need, to go to the next level, and you calculate 30%. If, let's say, it's 300, right, and my math proves right, it should be 90 XP. You calculate all the XP gain by the killing of the monsters, right, and spraying your traps and stuff like that, and then you add on to everyone, tell everyone individually, you get extra XP. That way, everybody gets the same XP. Because if you split it up, then these numbers become, infinitesimal. Like, 5%. It's like, well, that's nothing, right? And also, one of the reasons was also percentages. It doesn't matter what level they are; they're still gonna get. What they're gonna get, right? Again, because the actual numbers of XP are arbitrary, so you can do the X. You can. This is a bonus, right? And you can apply to other things such as. These awards can be used as for exploration. Again, this time we're going to do actual bullet points. Right. 4. XP for exploration. if you're playing a campaign like, say, Pathfinder's Kingmaker, right? And it can be used in any system, by the way. That's what this is Signa not. I say it's 5th edition, but it can be used for any system. And they enter a new area. Well, if that's a session goal, which is explore a new area of the map, open a new map, you can do that. If it's it depends on what and this is also, by the way, also depends on what the players and you want to accomplish, what they see, what they're going to accomplish, right? I did not put personal goals. Let's see. Oh, personal goals. Player wants to achieve something. For example, maybe the player wants to invent a new spell or magic item. The rules don't really cover that. The rule assumes, at least in 5th edition, that you're going to essentially copy something that already exists, such as in the Dungeon Master Guide or the New Xanathar's Guide to Everything. And with all the spells out there, especially from all the splats that are out there under the guild, I doubt very much your players will come up with a new spell or magic item for that matter. But if they do, that's one example, such as exploring an element of their background, forging new bonds with other players, and creating magic items. I said new magic items, spells. Replicating what's already there, learning something's already there. I per se wouldn't give a bonus for that. That would be suggested bonus or session level bonus. Unless, of course, the campaign is your guys, that you're running an entire campaign where you need to create a ritual or a device, an artifact to seal a portal to hell or something. And then that could be it, or trap a particular entity. Then there will be an adventure level or even campaign level bonus. Other ideas. You can use this. You can do this. Just put this in the middle so that it's there, and so distinguish itself. And you can use it for other awards as well. But here's the thing: when not to use these awards. Not a substitute. Careful. No. Okay, let me put it this way. Not a substitute for combat-based XP. Why is that? Well, because although in Dungeon Master Guides there are milestones and the like, and this is very much like a milestone, right? Major and minor milestones. That's another way of seeing it, without having to do all the calculus about CR and whatnot. But remember that the game is based on still very much combat-orientated murder hoboing. So the idea of saying, oh no, I'm just gonna do away with that and it's all going to mission based, that may not sit well with your players necessarily. It makes combat a grind, right? You have to kill these people. If you do plan a heavy combat campaign, well, why am I killing these goblins, whatever, over and over again if I'm not getting anything for it, right? If that's not the actual end goal. Mind you, they can be used, although I would not do so, but that's up to you. It's sort of milestone effect where you say, okay, let's avoid combat altogether. It's about what you accomplish, right? Liberating prisoners, exploring new ground, inventing new magical items, and stuff like that, right? On the top of my head, that's the things I can think of. And in chat, if you have any ideas, feel free to shoot them my way. But it shouldn't rob them. And the thing about the milestone, especially the sort of, now you get a level, right? Is that players often, especially longtime players of Dungeons and Dragons and similar systems, they're used to tracking XP and sort of getting their XP. If all of a sudden the dungeon master says, well, it's been 3 sessions, now you're getting level. It seems, the whole XP system, like I said, is arbitrary, but it feels even more arbitrary, right? It feels like it's completely in the hands of the dungeon master and not tied to the player's achievements, right? Defeating that great dragon didn't do anything because there's no XP for killing the dragon, right? Beelzebub shows up. It's like, well, we don't have to talk to you, dude. I'm not gonna fight you, because even at least if you build the session or the scene around fighting, a prime evil or something like that, right? It's like, there's no incentive there, right? When other awards are given, such as reputation, as gaining reputation with a faction. If you're using the factions rule from Dungeons, the DMG, that gives you an award system. Like getting good with a faction gives you a couple of things that are essential, right? Also, if again, anytime you get a tangible mechanical award, right? Then, already in the system, then you shouldn't use this. Apologies, my mic is going all over the place. That's not what you should be doing, right? Avoid that. So in essence, or for any situation, right? And like I said before, let's go up a bit. Eventual level goals and adventure stuff. It shows the impact of PC actions beyond killing of an enemy. This is very important because remember, these are not combat-based experience award, right? They are for other things in combat. So you did either players did something extra, right? They discovered a bonus. They went above and beyond. They did something secondary, but also, like I said, if it's a combat, they already have their XP from that. Let's put XP in all caps. XP hack. They already have that. It should be something, especially in the secondary and eventual level goals. It's a mark of great achievement, right? They reach a milestone, right? In the campaign, and you're marking that by giving them extra XP, right? On top of the one thing you can do vis-a-vis combat XP is that you can say, okay, I don't have to load my encounters with, my sessions with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 encounters that really don't make sense, right? You can avoid the sort of crowded dungeon. Especially, I've been reading a lot of old Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and even Dungeons and Dragons camp modules, and the dungeons are just chock full of monsters, right? And treasure. Why? Because that's how you get XP. But many times it just doesn't make any sense. Like, how could all these people be in the same place at the same time, right? Especially for lower levels. It's the thing about the players going to the dungeon and going back again to rest and then go back into the dungeon. Why? Because you have to sort of grind the dungeon, right? These are not substitutes of combat, but allows a dungeon master to say, okay, I'm going to concentrate on the highlights, right? Combat should be there when it's necessary, right? The people who are going to fight because that's what they do, right? You don't have to fill a dungeon with rats and spiders and all kinds of monsters just because the players need to kill these things to get the treasure and get the XP so that they'll be ready for the next adventure, especially if you're planning a long-term campaign. And you need certain levels, right? These things will boost things. It will probably speed up a little bit the progression of your characters. But remember, these are things that you decide when you're gonna put them in. So adventure level, especially the bonus goals, right? Those things stack. I'm gonna put okay. These awards stack. If the players achieve one or more goals, then you add the bonus. As I was talking before, like I said, if you get a bonus goal, a session goal, an adventure goal, you can also add more bonus goals, right? Especially most bonus goals are the kind of thing, they're the lower XP, but they're the ones who really sort of stack up very quickly. Warning, use judiciously, right? I would say that the bonus goals are things that could be secret, we can keep those secrets, but the secondary and adventure goals, that's something that the player should be aware of. That this is something they're actually shooting for, right? At some point, right? They should not be secret, nor should the award as well. And think about it, this is just about able to calculate these things as fast as possible. This is just the rundown of this. I will probably do more with it as time goes by. Maybe another stream as well. Maybe revisit it. Then we have the second part of this, which is epithet-based inspiration hack. What is it? Let me just times New Roman here. Sorry about that. I should do this. Next time I'm not going to do it in here. I'm going to do it straight from Google Docs. It's easier that way. I'm just so used to using this. And this is my first sort of hack. Thanks. So here we go. 32. What? Ooh. It's a big two. Okay. Yeah, 32. What is the epithet-based inspiration hack? Let's read the rule first and foremost about inspiration, and you probably already read this yourselves at some point as players and as DMs, but it's good to review them. So let's see where we lifestyle expenses, social interaction, role playing. Okay, let's go to the index. That's what indexes are for. Intimidation, insight, inspiration, 125. That's player handbook, page 125. 127. 125. Okay, let's start from the beginning, shall we? Inspiration is a rule the dungeon master can use to reward you, the player, for playing your character in a way that's true to his or her personality traits, ideal, bond, and flaw. By using inspiration, you can draw on your personality trait or of compassion for the downtrodden to give you an edge in negotiating with the Beggar Prince. That's interesting, and that's one of the things I want to focus in this epithet thing. Or inspiration can be let you call on your bond to the defense of your home village to push past the effect of spell that has been laid on you. Okay. Gaining inspiration. You DM can choose to give inspiration for various reasons. Typically, DMs award it when you play out your personality traits, giving you into drawbacks, spend it by a flaw or bond, otherwise portray your character in a compelling way. Your DM will tell you how you can get inspiration in game. You either have inspiration or don't. You can't stockpile multiple inspirations for later use. That's part of the rule, and it's pretty good. Um, Essentially, inspiration is an award for good role playing. The thing is, all your role playing should be good for a given value of that. So, if you're always, and other things like someone who is more a quieter person, for example, is like, yeah, I prefer to just roll the die, and maybe once in a while I give it a useful idea, or I wait for for the part of my rogue, for example, will tickle locks and that sort of thing, and if they laugh, well, everybody laughs, and then somebody breaks the lock, because that's just weird, even in a magic system. It's the old joke of I laughed, the bartender laughed, the toaster laughed. The bartender shot toaster. And why there's a toaster in a bar, I don't know, but just that's how the joke goes. But does it? Never mind. So essentially, it's like, if you're always going to be handing out inspiration. Instead, this is what I'm going to do. Let's talk epithets. First of all, let's define what an epithet is, shall we? Because I have the internet, I can do that. Epithet. Define. Let's say what dictionary. Oh, let's go to Wikipedia. Why not? It's a trust. You can trust this source, right? An epithet is a by-name or descriptive term, word or phrase accompanying or occurring in place of a name having entered common usage. It varies shades of meaning when applied to seemingly real or fictitious peoples, divinities, objects, and binomial nomenclature. There's a link to that. It's also be descriptive title, for example, Pallas Athena, Alfred the Great, Suleiman the Magnificent, or someone who is Polish, and I don't know how to pronounce that, so I won't, because people already have problems with my name, so I'm not going to do that. Hey, Mathelis, how you doing? Yes, this is you just got into the hack aspect of this. Welcome to the program. I was covering, you can see above, an XP hack, and I'm going to be posting a link to this video and to the document and the Mat Squad. So, but let's start defining epithet. Somebody had a question about that, and whoa, this is big. Let's link it to that. Again, 22. Okay, so this is an epithet. That's an epithet, essentially. Essentially, as the examples give here, Pallas Athena, Alfred the Great, right? Great people, deities, and other things. If you read the Iliad, all the gods and all the great heroes had epithets, right? Today, epithets tend to be negative, as explained in the Wikipedia article, but back in the day, they were mostly good things. So, why is this tied up to inspiration? Let's read back that one sentence I mentioned before. By using inspiration, you can draw on your personality trait or of compassion for the downtrodden and give you an edge in negotiating with the Beggar Prince. First of all, the term Beggar Prince is an epithet, right? It's a substitute for the real. This person is known as the Beggar Prince. But it also, very interesting, you can draw on your personality trait of compassion. Well, thank you, Mathalis. The reason why I thought it was Vladislav, but, and I butchered it anyway. But I didn't want to, butcher it even further. That sentence is very important to what we're trying to do here because, and that's on page 125 of the PHP, 5th edition, for people who want to know. Because it's one thing to do the background things, like, I have, and keeping track of all those background elements, like, I have this flaw and this, like, you just role playing the game. And most of the time, at least in my experience, you put that in your page, And unless you sort of become fixated on one of those two elements, you just forget. You just play the character as you see fit, right? And try to be consistent with what you've done in game. All languages are weird if you don't know how to, how to pronounce them. I mean, I know English and Spanish, and people say things about Spanish that are weird and things about English that are weird, and so. But you're right, Polish can be weird. Also playing The Witcher, so it's pretty cool. And you're all those things happen as Adam is used to pointing out. Those things happen before you actually play the game. So they're part of the formation of your character, but they're just notes on a page. It's when you bring the character to life in the group that your character really comes alive, right? That's what really matters. And whatever you don't bring to the table, just like if you never write down any of your your XP or your treasure on the page, it doesn't exist. Let's talk about that Beggar Prince. Why do they know him as the Beggar Prince, right? Of course, he's the leader of the beggars, but how did he become the leader of the beggars, right? He must have done something, or they must have done something, right? Beggars must have some kind of impact in the culture there in the city, for example, right? They maybe have some position. Well, that's why you're negotiating with the Beggar Prince, as the example gives. So there's a social aspect to this. And the only reason why I want to do this is because I want to inject a social aspect, not only among the players, but also in game itself. Often, because of the mechanics of the game, players find themselves detached from the campaign world they're living. It's like playing a video game where you're going along, you kill a monster, it's like, you got 2,000 XP. All of a sudden, you're reminded you're playing a game. Your immersion goes out the window. This is something that, while reminds you that it is a game, of course, it's in-game. So, let's see. This is what an epithet in general is. But requirements to acquiring an epithet. Let's start with requires a significant action by the player. A significant action. Let me spell it out. A public, well-known act or conduct. This is not simply you have a limp, right? People have to know you in town for having that limp. And walking, it's like, oh, that's a guy with a limp, right? And that has to be significant. It has to be campaign. So it's not a matter of you kill the goblin, so you're the goblin slayer. No, you kill the goblin king, right? The epithet must be as specific as possible, and specific and descriptive as possible. So that's that as well. A player can have as many epithets as only, but a player can only use one epithet at a time. You can have as many as you want, but remember the rule is, let's read back the rule, page 125, so I don't forget. I'm making this stuff up. Remember, this is a hack, not a reinvention of the game. 120, I should have kept it on. You either have inspiration or you don't. You cannot stockpile multiple inspirations for later use. So this has to be used at the time, right? If you're known as Lucas the Compassionate, perhaps because one or multiple times or at a given time you showed compassion for a bandit or something like that, or a poor person, you're somebody who really spends a lot of money on the poor, right? No one time you get alms, you actually consistently did that. Then you earn the epithet Lucas the Compassionate, or Lucas the the caretaker or whatever. And then in this specific situation, you know, like, okay, because I am Lucas the Compassionate and I'm known for my compassion, when I'm going to talk to the Beggar Prince, who cares about his, fellow beggars and why he's the prince, I'm going to use that epithet, right? It has to be, the player has to be proactive about this. Because another thing is that another problem with inspiration is usually you mark inspiration as like, oh, I have inspiration, and then you've seen this in, I'm sure Matthias has seen it in role play a lot, and stuff that been run by Adam, that players just forget. Oh, I just marked up. No, you okay. Must be used at the moment. At the moment. How do I write that? Okay, it must be used at the moment it is called upon. I'm gonna have to rewrite that. It just feels a bit weird, but yeah. So yeah. In other words, if, for example, I am, say I am a wizard that is known as the lightning master, something like that, and I want to use lightning in some way or another, then, and I want advantage on that if I require advantage. No catharsis. There's experience, and there's epithets. That's, I was working before you guys jumped in. I was talking about the upper hack, which is here, which is an XP hack. I'll probably go over it before the show is over. But it must be used, right? Sorry, as we're talking about is that you have to use it on the moment, right? You simply say, "Oh, I'm gonna just talk about it and get the epithet," and it's like this, like and always have inspiration. No, remember, inspiration doesn't stack, and you only have inspiration at one time. So by the way, welcome to the show. What else? It has to be specific. It has to be public conduct. There's another aspect to this. Let's call it negative epithets. Yes, the fact that inspirations are separately from its use is one of the weakest parts of the app. That's probably, now, like I said, epithets can be. You should check that out, Catholic. Probably he's going to post it on the Discord, on Matt Squad Discord, if you're both members of the Discord. Negative epithets can be also things that people assign to you. Now, this is part of a much larger system of reputation. In essence, this is a way of tracking the player's reputation without having to use a point system. Right, because that's something I also had a problem with in the past. Like, I want people to have honor or reputation and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, but I almost always forgot to give them the points, and the players really never used them. So it's like, you know what? If the players do something awesome, and by the way, it must be agreed. All players must agree on the sobriet. Yeah. Agree on the sobriet in order for it to stick. Now, going back to the negative epithet. Now, this is an extra rule, right? If you just use the things I've written already, that's all you need for inspiration. You don't need anything else. However, if you want to make that very strong connection with the people in the campaign, the NPCs, the world that the players are in, also the players can do things that, well, affect them negatively, right? For example, let's say that your character is known as an oath breaker, right? Or a kinslayer, a certain, TV series fantasy TV series that are out there, then that's a negative thing, right? People have noticed that you behave in a certain way, and they don't like it, and you have earned that fame, or you become infamous because of it, right? Remember, there's no limit to how many epithets you have, and you can even have epithets that are contradictory. Like, oh, you're known to be the valorous, but also the oathbreaker, right? Like, how does that work? Well, some people know you as a valorous, which is pretty vague, I know, but just an example. And other people know you as an oathbreaker, right? Like, oh, okay. Oh, but you broke that oath, right? Let me give you a real, well, not a real life example, ironically, kind of a fantasy, fictional example. El Mío Cid Campeador. It's El Cid. It's basically the culture hero of Spain of the Middle Ages. He's known for taking the war to the Muslims, being a hero of the Reconquista, etc. But there's parts of that book where he lies and cheats to some Jewish moneylenders so they can give him the money to go on campaign, and then when he came back, he basically handed them, chests full of sand, gold color sand. I think that's how it goes. That means that El Cid among the Christians would be known as a valorous, slayer of Muslims, right? Slayer of the Moors, right? Moor killer or Moor vanquisher and whatever. The real El Cid, well, he was really a mercenary who, almost became king of ruler of all Spain, but that's a different story. It's a very interesting story. He was a real person. But among the Jews, the moneylenders, he'd be known as an oath breaker, somebody who broke his oath, who didn't pay his bills, right? Nobody is going to lend this guy any more money for any more campaigns in the future, right? So again, a negative epithet, and how can it be used by the GM? That's a bullet point here. The GM can assign a negative epithet and use it to basically give disadvantage, right? Cancel a player's advantage, or I blanked out on the term. Oh dear Lord, chat, can you help me out? Because I know it's advantage and disadvantage, yeah. Or give disadvantage, or give advantage on a roll. Now remember, this is public. Yes, I am on Masquad. I'm sorry, you're talking to Catharsis. Apologies, Mathalis. On a roll, right? If you're known as somebody with a very negative epithet, then it can be it, or scary epithet or whatever, right? Remember, again, that the epithet must be specific and must be as specific and descriptive as possible. You can only use one at a time because inspiration doesn't stack. Must be used at the moment that is called upon, kind of like in Fate, where you call in your traits. Very similar to that. And all players, including GM, must agree on the sobriquet in order for it to stick, right? It's not. And by the way, let me give you an example. Let's say that you want to be known as Rickard the Ogre Slayer, right? Everybody agrees that you killed an ogre in one round. It was very, very cool scenario, but you did it in a dungeon. Unless you go back to town, right, and you carouse and you pay a bard, or your party's bard or musician spreads the word around through song, and that you actually did that in a very cool way, nobody's gonna know about it. So it doesn't matter if your party knows you as Rickard the Ogre Slayer, right, or the Rickard of the Ogre Decapitator, be more gruesome. That's not important. The important is that everybody, at least in the immediate area, knows about it. Because remember, this is something you use mostly. You can use it. Well, that's another thing. Masquad Catharsis is the Discord and community around Adam Coble. He's a fellow streamer. and he is also a game designer, primarily game designer behind Dungeons and Dragons and Dungeon World, a fantasy-based RPG. You can check him out under Adam Coble on Twitch, YouTube, and also on Twitter. He's part of the inspiration of what I'm doing this, right? I think a lot of people are being inspired by Adam. Yes, indeed, he has pink hair and a very cool wizard's pose. So yeah, he's right now in Philly. He's in PAX, and he's having a great time. I wish I was there, but I'm here stuck with the hurricane, so there it is. So that's the two ways you can use epithets. Very simple. Negative epithets follow the same rules as the original epithets, and you can do that. Now, both Catharsis and Mathalis were asking about the XP hack I was doing. I started the program, but you guys were not here, so I'm gonna run it back. Essentially, this XP hack is a very simple system to manage milestones and extra non-combat XP. Right. Let's put it as a note. What is it? What is it good for? Oh, I'll put it in a note when I rewrite. Thank you for dropping the link. I'll check it out later on Docs. And by the way, this document will also be in Google Docs, and it will be published in Mat Squad with a link to this video, and the video will be here on Twitch, and it also will be, apologies, on my YouTube channel, which is also Lessons Learned, so you can check it out. It'll probably be heavily edited because there were some shenanigans early on. I lost power. So there was that. So the XP hack, to talk about this for people in chat who missed it in the first one. The XP hack is designed for non-combat XP, essentially for milestone, giving bonuses to players for stuff that is not directly in combat. And there are 3 levels of the hack. Adventure level goals, right? This is a secondary goals, right? And bonus goals. Essentially, whenever the players achieve one or more of these goals, they get a bonus. And the bonus is calculated very simply. You don't have to check CLs or ERs, something like that. You look at the overall experience needed for the characters to go to the next level, and then you do the following. If it's a bonus goal, such as what kind of goal that the PCs discover through due diligence, extra work, etc., yes, I suggest you actually do that. Cathar says it will be cool. Just check them out. No problem. I have no problem with that. You get between 5 to 10% of experience. So the example I gave earlier, same example, if you need to reach 300 XP to go from level 1 to level 2, then say 10% is 30 XP. Extra on top of whatever they earn through combat and all of that. Session goals, the same thing. Session is a goal that should be achieved in at least in one session, not the adventure session. 10 to 15, and adventure goals, 15 to 25%. You can go high as 30%, but there's a reason why I don't go higher than 25%. It's because these awards stack. If the players achieve 1 or more goals, then you add the bonus. This is a way of rewarding actions by the players that are not directly connected to combat. I haven't touched the combat system. The game is based on you killing monsters and taking their treasure, so you can kill more monsters in the future. I'm not touching that. This is all about awards such as XP for exploration. If you played something like, say, Adventurers Conquerors Kings, or you played Kingmaker from the Pathfinder Kingmaker campaign, then there's exploration, like discovering new lands, stuff like that. That's it. Could be used also for personal goals, such as exploring an element of the background, forging new bonds with other players, creating new magical items. Yes, I know 5th edition has a ton of magical items and spells. I doubt very much your players will ban anything that's not already there. But if you want to go with that, then you can use this as well. And like I said, these awards are not substitute for combat XP, and they're not substitute for awards already given by other means, such as money, gaining reputation with a faction. So there's that. So this is it. These are today's hacks. I'll be doing more hacking of 5th edition in the future. I know the ones were pretty short, but the reason why this one was pretty short was because power here, electricity, it's a bit iffy. So you never know when it's going to go out. It went out for a minute or two before the stream started, so there was that. I'm also building a Greyhawk base, quote unquote, mega adventure, and I'll be running through that in Hacking the 5th and assigning these rules as well to it. So essentially, this is going to be hopefully a regular feature of the channel. And anytime I talk about Dungeons and Dragons and design and hacking, it's going to be on the name of Hacking the 5th. No, Mathalis, actually, I'm Puerto Rico. I'm in Puerto Rico. I'm a Puerto Rican streamer. And we had a little something called Maria come over and visit us a couple of months back. And we're still recovering from that. I most of the time have power. We do tend to have power outages, which are pretty frequent, and brownouts as well. So it's one of the reasons why I haven't been streaming as much as I want to, because you never know when the power is going to go out. So yeah, this has been about an hour or so of the stream. If you want to catch this stream, you miss any part of it, you can check the channel here on Twitch on Lessons Learned 1, and you can also check my YouTube channel on the Lessons Learned as well. If you're looking for me on Twitter or Tumblr, I do have a Tumblr. Yes, I'm one of those people. You can check me out under Rafa Writer. Although I also appear as Lessons Learned in Twitter. My banner is that. So, in conclusion, we did 2 hacks today. We did an XP hack, a very simple hack, and we did an epithet-based inspiration hack. So that's basically it. I'd like to thank Mathalis and Catharsis for showing up, and rest everybody who's been on the chat and the quiet chat. If you guys have any ideas of stuff that you want me to do in the future, you can also find me on the Mat Squad server. Their number for Mat Squad for Discord. Okay, let me check the Discord and see. Yeah. Well, there's a number. And I'm setting it up right now. I'm doing an invite. Oh, there it is. You can join there as well. Adam, of course, is doing that. I also stream games whenever possible. I'm probably gonna start up a StarCraft 2 stream. It's going to call Slowcraft because I'm doing the campaign, the free campaign that is now up, which are the two basic campaigns, and playing some other stuff as well. And if anybody's playing Overwatch this weekend, and since it's free this weekend, so I might jump in a game and join you if you guys want to do that. So thank you guys for coming. I apologize for any problems the stream might have. And one final thing, check my page. I do have a Patreon because of the recent problems with Maria. Then it stinks. And as I wish you, and of course you can always follow my channel. Followers are always welcome. So thank you very much. And if you have any ideas for this column, you are more than welcome to share them. Thank you very much, and have a good afternoon, evening, or night.